All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We'd like to call this meeting of the Special Commission on State Institutions to order. My name's Kate Benson, and I'm one of the Commission's two co-chairs. As usual, before we begin, we'd like to let everyone know that the Commission meeting must follow the open meeting law. Any votes taken during the meeting will be done via roll call vote. We ask that Commission members please mute themselves when they are not speaking and use the raise hand feature if they would like to speak. Before speaking, please state your name so everyone knows who is talking. For any questions posted from the audience in the Q&A for this meeting, CEDAR will be reviewing the questions and holding them until the end of the meeting. Today's meeting is scheduled for 2 hours. We will have a break midway through the meeting at about 4 p.m. To make sure everyone can participate fully, we ask the following. We have CART services supporting our meeting today. These are captions that help people follow the discussion. If you need help turning on those captions, please let us know. We ask that people speak at a non-rushed pace and provide yourself with a brief pause for the CART transcriber to write what you have said. We ask that you speak with as few acronyms as possible. Doing so will help all participants to understand essential information that is shared here. We will try to remind folks of these items I just mentioned, if needed, during the meeting and to keep us on track. When we end this meeting, we will have notes made available based on what we talk about today. This meeting is also being recorded, and the videos are available on the Commission's mass.gov page and on YouTube. Next slide, please. Can we flip this to the next slide?
My apologies. This is Christine. I'm trying to move the slide. Which slide number would you like?
I think it's slide 2, the
Two.
agenda.
Yeah, that's the one I had. Yep. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, that's okay.
Christine, it's still showing slide 1.
Yep.
Your
Oh,
sharing might be paused.
okay. Thank you. Sorry.
Technology is so fun and helpful.
Jesus.
All right.
This is Christine. You can see the slide, the correct slide.
Yep,
My
that's
apologies.
perfect.
Thank you.
No, thank you. We hope everyone's taken a moment to view the agenda. These are the items we will be discussing today. CEDAR will provide a brief recap of last month's meeting before voting to approve the minutes of the meeting. We also want to discuss our upcoming work, including planning the dates for the remainder of the meetings for this year. After that, CEDAR will give a presentation on their report and areas to consider for recommendations. So right now, we'd like to invite Emily from CEDAR to provide a high-level recap of our last meeting before we vote to approve the minutes. Emily?
Thank you, Kate. This is Emily. So the commission last met on December 12th, 2024. In that meeting, members talked about the new role of secretary, which is held by Alex Green. The role of vice chair was also talked about, but the role was not filled at the last meeting. Members talked about the schedule of meetings for 2025. Members agreed that the commission would meet each month to talk about the findings from the CEDAR report and put together their recommendations, which are due in June. Members talked about the report to review work group, and they asked for more volunteers and were able to get one more volunteer. CEDAR talked with members about what it had learned related to some of the areas of focus, which are in CEDAR's report. We talked about examples of what was contained in patient records from institutions over time. We talked about public records laws in Massachusetts and the groups that oversee public records and the ways you can ask to see public records. We talked about laws that relate to who can get patient records from institutions and how long the records must be kept. We also talked about which records the Massachusetts State Archives has about institutions and how to access those. We talked about how some records from institutions are held in private collections. And we talked about experiences different people had when they tried to get records about their family members who had lived in an institution but are no longer alive. We talked about different ways that people have created memorials about people who lived at institutions to remember them. And we talked about the lessons that these groups learned when they were setting up the memorials. Lastly, Mary McCauley announced that she would be retiring from the Commonwealth effective February 28th, and that a different representative from the MOD would be joining the commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Before we dive into this afternoon's discussions, we have to vote on the minutes from the commission's last meeting back in December, and draft copies of the meeting minutes were emailed to members earlier this week. Do members have any suggested changes to the minutes? If not, we can proceed with the vote. And I see no raised hands. All right, as usual, we will be conducting a roll call vote. So if everyone could please unmute themselves, I will now call out your names in alphabetical order. First, do we have a motion to approve the minutes? And please just remember to state your name before you speak. Do we have
Laurie Medeiros, motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Lori. Do we have a second?
Andrew Leverell, I'll second.
Thank you. And I'll now read out members' names in alphabetical order by your last names. When your name is called, please respond with yes, no, or abstain. And we have Elise and myself, yes. Sister Linda, I don't know if I saw Sister Linda. And Reggie, I don't think I saw Reggie either. Jim Cooney. Did we lose Jim? Oh, Jim, yes, no, or abstain?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Samuel Edwards.
Yes.
Thank you. Anne Fract.
Yes.
Thank you. Alex Green.
Yes.
Thank you. Bill Henning.
Abstain since I was absent.
Thank you. Andrew Leveralt.
Yes.
Mary Mahan McCauley. I see a big healthy nod there. Can you just unmute yourself and give us a yes, Mary? Okay, it looks like Mary can't unmute Jen. Evelyn.
Abstain, I wasn't here.
Okay, thank you. Lori.
Medeiros?
Yes. Sorry.
Yes. I'm sorry. Yes, I agree to approve the minutes. Sorry.
Thank you. Matt is not on yet. Vesper.
Yes.
And Brenda is not on, correct? Okay. Did I miss anyone? Okay, excellent. The minutes are approved. And as a reminder, copies of the approved minutes and all the materials from our commission meetings are available on the Commission's webpage. Next slide, please. We'd like to continue our discussion and plans for the upcoming work of the Special Commission. Our work between now and June 1st is especially important. As a group, we need to review CEDAR's final report and prepare our questions about anything that we want more information about or anything we need to get clarification on. We also need to make a plan on how we will generate our recommendations and write the Special Commission report. The report is due to the legislature on June 1st, 2025. One example of how we could accomplish this would be to review one topic per meeting and discuss what we want to do based on what we have learned. I'd like to open up the floor to discuss ways we can accomplish the work that we have in front of us.
Hi, it's Lori Medeiros. I'm sorry, I can't get my camera to work. There's a triangle with exclamation point, and I'm not going to bother, so sorry about that.
No, that's
But
okay.
my question is, am I to assume there are 4 topics because there's 4 meetings in which you discuss 4 topics?
That is a very good question. Emily, Jen, or Alex, do you want to jump in on that?
So just related to how we've organized the report, we included information in 3 sections: burials, records, and a framework for remembrance. You all can choose how you would like to spread out the discussions. One opportunity could be to cover each of those 3 areas, 1 per meeting, and then have a final meeting to come to any necessary agreements on the wording of the recommendations and the packaging of them. But you're able to split it up however you'd like. So if you feel like you need 2 meetings to talk about records, for example, you can do that, and you can pick whatever order you'd like to go in. Today, we will go through what we saw as opportunities for you all to consider. Those are just things we've picked up on. They are not anything you're obligated to consider or to use, but we'll talk about those so you'll get a sense of what came out of our research. But you all get to choose how to steer from here on.
Alex, go ahead.
Everyone, this is Alex speaking. In general, just so you know, is like what would a commission normally do in this situation is that now that we have the report from CEDAR, it's that report is really a neutral informational report. So it is the findings that they have gone out and looked for based on what we've asked for. And now, customarily, what we would do is write something that's a summary that goes on top of that report. And that summary is more opinionated. It's how we as a commission feel about that report and what we want to say to the legislature or to the public or to anyone at large about what we think it all means and maybe what should be done, those sorts of things. And that's why we created the subcommittee for looking at the report and drafting some of that language so that we can, those of us who are on that committee can listen to what we hear in these bigger meetings, take that information and try to turn it into words and language that might reflect what the commission wants to say, and then bring that back so that it helps move things along as we go. So we don't have to write something anywhere near as long as that report. That report has everything in it. Our job is to get it down to just a couple of pages or something like that that says, here's what we think based on what we see.
Lori, go ahead.
Hi, Alex. So does that mean the committee that's doing that work, name it again for me, Alex, please? What's the committee you just named that's
For the life of me, I can't remember, but it's something like the report subcommittee or something like that, or
Okay.
report working group, I think is what it is. It's a reports
Okay.
working group. Yeah.
Okay, so does that mean that reports working group is actually going to be basically writing the recommendations, or are we going to participate monthly in a conversation about those three topics? And the working group is going to take that, meet again separately, and gather the information, that they got at one of these open meetings.
It's a great question. Two things are possible. There are people in the working group who have expertise in some of these areas. So, for instance, we have an official from the archives who's part of this commission and is also part of that group, and they just know record stuff inside and out. And so they're going to be able to get to a level of detail and understanding and specifics and kind of what would work also, what's the best way, the common way to do stuff. So that's going to be helpful for getting to the point in the most effective way possible. At the same time, more important than that is that everybody on this commission chimes in about how they feel and what they see in these group meetings. Because at the end of the day, we are all going to vote on what we send to the legislature. And so, first of all, those working group meetings are not closed off to anybody. And second of all, in these meetings, you're raising the exact right thing, which is those of us in that working group are listening to make sure that we hear everything and start to begin to turn that into something, and maybe save some time and effort for the whole commission in getting it down on paper. But at the end of the day, it would be a shame not to have heard something that any of you, feels is very, very important to think about or to ask about or to try to say or explore, like, hey, could we try recommending this? And we'll go look, like anything like that, because we have to be happy with what we're voting on. It would be great to get to a place where whatever that summary looks like at the end, we all feel comfortable saying, yeah, I like that and I support that. And so each month, that's what I think we should be my 2 cents are that's what we should be cutting into.
Thank you, Alex. I was surmising that, but you put it all concisely. So thank you.
Sure. Thanks for asking.
Thank you, Alex. Bill.
Yeah, I just want to say the reports were amazing. I will not profess to have been close to reading the version that's 386 pages and don't think I'll ever get through to the end of that. But I did have one little item to suggest I don't have to do it here on the report, on just some history where there was just one little thing I have some knowledge of that might be just a reference to the Olmsted decision along the whole panoply of moving towards deinstitutionalization. I think just a sentence referencing Olmsted and the ADA would be useful. That's all. And that's very important moving forward. Thank you. But
Thank you.
amazing work. I continue to be overwhelmed by the high quality of writing and scholarship going into that. Thank you to everybody.
Thank you, Bill. That'll definitely be noted. Emily.
Thank you, Bill. We'll certainly do that. That is in the larger timeline, and we'll just pull it forward into the summary. Absolutely.
Yeah, right where you get into like the 70s to the 80s, 90s, just the line that ADA happens in 90 and we get 99 Olmsted. It really links to a lot of this, I thought. Thank you.
Certainly true. And what I was going to add is that we sort of gave you a polished report in its entirety. However, you'll notice we put not for distribution on the report. It will be up to you all to decide to release that, for example, on the website if you would like. There is a window of time where we can make little adjustments like this and things that you see that you want adjusted or suggest for us to adjust before you do that. So just know that we can make those modifications if you all decide later on that you want to share that up on the commission's website.
Excellent. Thank you. This is Kate, just to throw my 2 cents in as well. I agree with Alex that I think would be it would make things very manageable and make sure everyone's voice is heard to ensure that we cover each topic individually in the big group so everyone has a chance to have that input. And again, like Alex said, that report review group is not a closed group by any means. It was just those of us who had the energy and the bandwidth to say we wanted to tackle it right away. But we would love the input from everyone. Everyone has such a wealth of expertise in different areas. So I think I agree that taking each of the three topics and talking about them as a big group and then taking all of that back and distilling it into the language that we want is a great way to handle this. Is there anyone else that has thoughts and feelings? This is something that we would have to vote on. So we can vote on this now. Jen, do we need to vote on this now for sure, or is this something folks can mull over? I just want to make sure everyone is is heard and clear on how we're going to approach this.
I don't know that you need to vote on it per se.
Okay.
It's up to you all if you would like to formalize how you going through it, or you could suggest we can talk about it now. We could wait until you see what we talk about for opportunities today and then make a decision towards the end of the meeting. It's up to you.
Okay. If I'm not hearing any thoughts, comments, concerns at the moment, um, shall we hold on to it and move on? I just want to make sure I'm not taking away anybody's opportunity to weigh in. Okay. Do we want to hold this till the end of the meeting, Jen and Emily? I think giving folks some time to think about other potential options might be good.
We can certainly make sure there is space before we adjourn today to give you an opportunity to make any motions or have further discussion about the organization for the next meetings.
Okay, that sounds great. Next slide, please. The next item that we wanted to discuss is the meeting schedule going forward from February to June of 2025. We need to agree on how often we need to meet and the best days and times for those meetings. We should also consider how long we want the meetings to last. And here are a couple of options. Option 1 is to meet on the second Thursday of the month. Option 2 is to meet on the fourth Thursday of the month. We're proposing that the meetings run from 3 to 5 in order to make sure enough commission members can attend the meeting and to allow for enough time to complete our work. So there are two options on the table. Are there thoughts on either of these options, one over the other?
Can you do the options again? I'm sorry.
Sure. Option number 1 is the second Thursday of the month from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock. That would mean February 13th, March 13th, April 10th, and May 8th. The second option is fourth Thursday of the month from 3 to 5, which means February 27th, March 27th, April 24th, and May 22nd.
I'm actually wondering if it's possible for whatever mechanism, show of hands or whatever, to ask the group, are they ready to vote on option 1 or 2? Because if folks are ready now, then we can just call a vote for option 1 or option 2, right?
Yep, absolutely. And just, a reminder that option 1 gives us more of a cushion between that final meeting on May 8th and when the commission report is due on June 1st. Option 2 tightens that window and doesn't give us a whole lot of time between that last meeting and the June 1st date. But I do see Samuel's hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just was gonna ask a quick question, which is Thursday the best day of the week for everybody, or I'm just wondering why Thursday was decided.
I think that's come from a lot of the doodle polls that have gone out, that Thursday seems to be the day that's chosen most often, because I think a lot of people who belong to other committees, those committees meet usually. I know all of my committees are like Mondays and Tuesdays. And then, everybody has other commitments. So I think Thursday ended up being the most often chosen day.
That makes sense.
Okay. So Jen or Emily, just because we haven't done this before, how would we like to conduct a vote between option 1 and option 2? Just an informal 1 or 2, or a formal 1 or 2?
I saw that James had his hand up, and then you can do a couple different things. You can go through the roster and you can ask people to indicate their preference, or you can ask if anyone would like to make a motion for either of the options.
Okay. And James, go ahead.
Jim.
Oh, Jim, sorry.
Yeah,
The hand went
I
up and
know.
then disappeared.
So I just wanted to echo the point that you made of doing the first Thursday of the month at the end. If there's crunch time at the end, the first Thursday does build in the extra time if there's extra time needed for work.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Then Jim, would you like to make a motion for option 1?
Yes, I move that we schedule the meetings according to option 1 for the second Thursday of the month.
Thank you, Jim. Do I have a second for the second Thursday, which is option 1?
I second option 1.
Thank you, Vesper. All right, I'm going to go
Kate.
through what
Sorry, this is Christine from Cedar. If you'd like, I can do the roll call.
that would be
if you'd like.
amazing.
Perfect. Okay, thank you so much.
I just have a quick question. Do we have the word, enough people to vote? Forum? What's the
We
word?
do. We do, Lori.
Okay.
We have quorum.
Okay.
Okay. So this is Christine from Cedar, and I'll be doing the roll call for this second vote. So Alex Green,
Yes, I'll go with option 1. Yep.
okay, Andrew Leverett,
Yes, on option 1.
thank you. Anne Frack,
Yes, I'll go with 1.
thank you. Bill Henning,
Yes.
Brenda Rankin, Elise Aaron, Evelyn Mateo, James Cooney,
Yes.
Kate Benson.
Yes, and Evelyn is trying to unmute as well, Christine.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sorry.
No problem, Evelyn. Thank you. Lori Medeiros,
Yes to option 1.
thank you. Mary Mahone McCauley,
Mary also cannot unmute.
okay. All right, and Matt Millette is not here. Reggie
Can she
Clark,
vote? Can she vote in the chat? She can't unmute. Can she vote in the chat if she can't unmute?
We can visually see her vote.
Yes, we
Thank you.
can see her vote. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you. Reggie Clark.
I'll take it, sure.
Okay, option one.
Just as
Perfect.
long as it,
Thank you, Reggie. Samuel Edwards.
Yes.
Sister Linda Bessam, I believe, is not here, and Vesper Moore.
Yes on option 1.
Perfect. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone, for the input on that. Okay. Next, we'd like to ask CEDAR to lead a discussion regarding the report they delivered to the Special Commission this month. And the CEDAR team is going to speak about that.
Thank you, Kate. And I'm going to get started. We're going to break this up into sections. This is Emily from CEDAR. So to start, on January 15th, we shared our full report with the commission members. We sent it via email. We want to remind everyone that the report includes words that may feel offensive by the way we talk about each other today. We used the language that was used at the time of when the events were happening, because the way people talked about people with disabilities reflects how they felt about them and how they considered them. And we think it's really important to capture this, even though that is not how we would talk about people today or how we would consider them. The words in the report are accurate to the history of what was being considered at the time and by being done. We'll begin by talking about this, how we put the report together, the structure of it, and then we'll highlight some opportunities that we have identified for your considerations for you to think about. We've prepared also a set of slides to guide the discussion so you can see the information and listen to it. You are welcome to give us feedback on the opportunities in the content. You can ask questions as we talk about this. This is a section of the discussion for you to really think about these ideas and try them on and make sure you understand them as well. You also can email us at the SCSI email address if you don't want to raise questions that you have today or things you'd like us to follow up on. So if we start by looking at the report structure, there's a few main sections. There's a historical timeline that explores the history of how Massachusetts as a colony and then as a state began to provide care for people who needed it. That includes people with disabilities, but it also included other groups. It traces how the support changed over time and how the care of people with disabilities changed over time. The next section of the report is on records and records access. This section talks about how old institutions in Massachusetts first created records, how they stored them, and where they stored them. It also talks about the rules that keep private information in these records safe. And it talks about how hard of a time some families have had when trying to get access about their loved ones. It shares what the commission has found in the past year about problems related to patient records and offers some suggestions for possible changes. The next section talks about burials and burial locations. This section talks about the laws and the regulations around how and when and where people are buried. It talks about how death records were created and where the records can be found if they can be found. The section also talks about the condition of some of the cemeteries, so in what sort of shape they're in, how they're kept up over time, and whether or not people who are buried there can be identified by name. It also gives information about whether the graves are marked with headstones or have numbers or other markers on them. The last section of the report covers what we call the framework for remembrance, and it explores the different frameworks we learned about that other groups have used and what the commission learned over the past year, both in Massachusetts and in other states. And it also talks about what those groups needed to do to get these memorials together, what happened as a result of their work and the lessons they learned. So each of these sections are ones that we have reviewed in our previous meetings. Next slide. So the report at the very start of it has a short summary that's called an executive summary. This is a type of summary that's used in these big reports that gives a quick look at all of the things in the report. It talks about the main points that are in the report, some of the things that we've concluded, and we have taken the opportunities for you all to consider and we've put them right into that summary. So they're easy to find and they're in each section. So the burial section has recommendations to consider related to burials. The records has opportunities related to records and records access. We also took this summary and we put it into plain language. So you're able to access both the summary of the information in the full report and the opportunities in plain language. We also want to thank Alex Green for making a recording, an audio recordings that you can listen to of this plain language executive summary. And that was shared with commission members last week. So that if you would like to listen to it being read to you instead of reading it, or in addition to reading it, you can do that too. Next slide, please. At the end of the report, you will find 10 attachments. These are extra documents that provide you more details and information to clarify and expand on the content of the report. The attachments have been shared with the special commission members throughout the past year, and we reference those within the larger report. And then I think next slide, we're going to pause here to see if there's any questions that people have about the report or comments that you'd like to raise now. Dan?
Hi, so this is Samuel Edwards speaking. I just wanted to thank you for your hard work on this. It was a really great overview, particularly on the historical piece is very helpful for our work, as well as, learning more about where the different records are held, I think was very informative as well. One little thing I noted was I noted that there were a couple inaccuracies when talking about Massachusetts archives. So I just wanted to clarify some of those, but I'll send that in an email.
Thank you, and we'll update the commission members when we make those. I appreciate that. Lori?
I also wanted to echo the sentiments of the few speakers before me, including Samuel, that this was an extremely impressive product / outcome / report. It is so far beyond my scope to ever produce anything as comprehensive as this. And it's actually, quite frankly, an honor to be able to read the work and dedication of others and how they were able to put it together and put it out. Big, huge, super kudos, super fan. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lori. It was our pleasure to support the commission. It is our sincere hope, and thank you to all the commission members who provided feedback and guidance over the arc of creating this. It is our hope that this report, which summarizes things that have never been put together for Massachusetts, is in itself a product that can be used for education and reference and understanding how we got to what happened, as well as the opportunities to do better going forward. So thank you all for the positive comments. We really appreciate that. And mostly we hope this is a very useful tool for you as you all think about what you want to recommend in the next steps. So thank you. If you do have other comments, feel free to email us with those or get in touch with any of our staff. Thank you. I'm going to turn it over now to Christine from our center, who's going to talk about some of the areas of opportunities for you.
Thank you, Emily. This is Christine from Cedar. So we're going to begin with discussing some of the potential areas of opportunities believe for records and records access. All right. So one area of opportunity around the rules governing records access will begin like this. The first area of opportunity we'd like to review concerns the rules governing access to records. We learned through our research that many families have had difficulty in getting copies of their family members' records. Family members have to go through a legal process to be allowed to see the record of their deceased family member or their family member who passed away. One opportunity is to make recommendations for changes to the laws that govern family members' access to records of individuals who lived at the institutions. This could include making the records access process more consistent and transparent for families, and clarifying whether state agencies can confirm the availability of records before family members are required to go to court or pay any associated fees. Also related to records access is the length of time that has to pass to allow access to historical patient records. One possible opportunity is to recommend establishing a policy regarding the period of time that must pass before individual records from state institutions can be accessed at the Massachusetts State Archives. Currently, there's no specific time period set in Massachusetts general law, unlike in many other states. In Massachusetts, the practice is records from former institutions are never made public or accessible without a court order. One opportunity would be to recommend revising the statewide records retention schedule to ensure that individual records from state institutions are preserved at the Massachusetts State Archives once agencies no longer need to hold on to them. Currently, medical records are retained for a 20-year period under the existing schedule. This means that records are allowed to be destroyed after 20 years. We learned that the records from former institutions are not all held at the state archives. We also learned that some records from Devon State School and Foxborough State Hospital are held at facilities like the Rentham Developmental Center and Taunton State Hospital. Another opportunity around this for the special commission to consider is to request a detailed accounting of the institutional records currently held by DDS, or the Department of Developmental Services, and the Department of Mental Health, DMH, at any of their facilities or at their state offices. Some of the problems regarding records from former institutions we learned about this year could be due to the processes followed by staff when the institution was closing. The commission could also suggest creating rules and guidelines for how to protect and manage records when an institution or state office closes. The commission could recommend what should be included in these rules. Finally, the commission could formally request information from both the DDS and DMH regarding any records they sought permission to destroy from the Records Conservation Board. Another area of opportunity around the interpretation of privacy laws in relation to records goes as follows. Not all states have rules as strict as Massachusetts laws about record privacy. Some states have decided that HIPAA, health insurance patient, my apologies, I'm blanking on the acronym, does not protect confidentiality of records forever. For example, the state of Nebraska is allowing records from a former institution there to be made accessible to family members. In those states, HIPAA doesn't stop patient records from being shared because there's an exception for records made public by state law. Another idea the special commission could consider is to ask the supervisor of records about how Massachusetts privacy laws should be understood, especially since other states have interpreted HIPAA differently. And just to the acronym for HIPAA is Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. Thank you, Emily. Recently, there have been legal arguments that changes to records access laws means medical records are no longer fully protected from being disclosed. The state must now weigh or balance the public's interest in accessing these records against the need to protect privacy when deciding on records requests. Another area of opportunity related to access to private collections is that in addition to the records held by the state of Massachusetts, there are a number of private collections that include information about former patients at state institutions. The commission could consider making some suggestions about accessing these records kept by libraries and other collections that may not be covered by state retention laws. All right. And another area of opportunity, which is related to creating a pathway for the return of records, I will elaborate. So from the 1970s to the early 2000s, many of the state hospitals and schools shut down. The process was chaotic. In the rush to close these places, private patient records were left behind and later found by urban explorers who were exploring the old buildings. Some of these explorers took items such as souvenirs, and some records were even sold online. One possible recommendation for the commission to consider would be creating a way to help return these stolen items to the state so that they can be protected and preserved. We wanted to take a pause here for any questions or comments. Is there anything commission members would like to discuss regarding what I just explained? Yes, Lori, I see you have your hand raised.
Yes, I really don't mean this sarcastic, and I don't know how to rephrase it. So I honestly don't mean it sarcastic. If the individual has passed away, whose privacy is being protected? The department, the medical providers, or is it really and truly and authentically solely on behalf of the individual that passed away? Because they've already passed away. So protecting their records from requesting family members, I don't get it. That's number one. Number two, the Records Conservation Board, I'm curious about who the members of that board are, and might it be possible to either just look into, suggest, or figure out if there are individuals with disabilities serving on those boards and family members serving on the boards, because the recommendation that they'll make would, of course, be the bias of the individuals serving on the board. I serve on a family board. We're biased for families. We're not, it just is, So those are two things that I'm wondering about, the many things that you just talked about.
Alex, would you like to respond to Lori, or do you have a separate item?
Yeah, I was just going to respond because I think Lori, your second point is exactly where we want to be. I just think it's a good example. Like, you're bringing expertise that you have from having seen other boards and how they operate. So make those things a recommendation. I think those are good for us to collect as things we might want to recommend. Should the records board, and the list of all the members is in the larger report, the non-plain language report. It has each kind of official who's on it. There's a rep from the Attorney General's office and from archives and all that stuff. But maybe a recommendation is that should have a disabled person or in some way take that into account. Your earlier question isn't sarcastic at all, but it's something we're all going to have to wrestle with. And it's one of the hardest questions, which is we don't all share the same sense of how long is long enough before a medical record becomes something that someone can look at for its historic value as a researcher, and that's different than maybe a family looking at it for personal value, right? And we're going to have to figure out what the common accepted practices are out there. And I think the report does a good job of showing where there are examples like the earlier slide where there's a federal law that Nebraska is turning to that is kind of the medical records law. And they've said 50 years after someone has died, those records could become more accessible. So we're going to want to wrestle with what those recommendations are when we get to the month where we talk about records and reports. And I think everyone should start thinking about that is what is fair and what is reasonable. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the same for either group. It's probably very different for family members and descendants than it is for researchers. There are different ways to think about this, and we should all, I think, be prepared to talk about all of those. And so I think you're right to raise it. I had another thought. It's gone out of my head. I'll get it back later.
Just to follow up with that, Alex, I'm mindful that if it's family members or descendants who have interest at all, right? Who have interest, and their loved ones have passed away. How many years do families and descendants have left? Period. You know what I mean? Does one have to wait till they're 85 or till they're 90 because that's a 50-year mark, or they pass away before they ever get to that 50-year mark? So I think it would be good moving forward, and when we have these discussions, to just be mindful about what's reasonable, given that institutions are now closed. And when the last individual potentially was that, have passed away, or their their medical records could be relevant or asked for, because I wouldn't want to wait till I was 90 and then hope I hit 90.
Two things, and then I'm going to shut up and let Samuel dive in here. But on that end, I think the very specific consideration that the major report, the larger report raises when you read the stories of the people who've tried to get records, is that a lot of people who died in institutions, lived and died in institutions, did not have children specifically because they were put in institutions. And that means that our rules for who has a right to see a record, which are usually going straight down, like you have children and then it's your children's children and that kind of thing, are not very helpful in these situations where it might be a niece or a nephew or a sibling or a cousin who wants to get these records and they're finding that they cannot. And we're going to want to think about language that we can use to recommend that also doesn't cause havoc for families where maybe some things are raised that aren't things they all want to go digging into. I think your opening point, I just wanted to come back to the one other thing I remembered, is we're also going to need to comment with our opinion about what we think the kind of summary of everything that's in the report means. And you raised that. The sentence that I think of is, have these records practices intentionally or accidentally ended up really protecting the state more than the people who the records are about, or their individuals and loved ones, or the public interest more broadly? And it does seem to me like one of the conclusions I personally can take from the report is it does seem like this has ended up, whether accidentally or intentionally, protecting the state in a lot of ways because bad things don't come out, but at the expense, a very painful expense, for family members who want records or researchers who would like to share this and teach this and make sure that it's known. Again, something for us all to get in the practice of doing over these next few months is, what is that one line, because it's going to get really short in a summary report, where we say what our opinion is about what CEDAR has pulled together. It's enough out of me. Samuel, I'll bounce over to you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so a few different things. I'm hearing a lot of folks talking about HIPAA. I think in Massachusetts, there's a few specific laws that govern mental health and developmental disability records that I was trying to find the exact citation as we were talking, but couldn't quite find it in a short amount of time. But I can pull those up as well. But those are the legislative things we would want to be specifically tweaking or changing or advocating to change, because those are the places where archives really gets stuck, is in those specific statutes. The other thing that I want to say is I think there are a few different possibilities I could see for this. I think some states have, a sunset law for all records. So all records are open after a certain period of time, whether that be, 75 years, 90 years, whatever feels appropriate. And I think that could be a potentiality. I know that in Massachusetts specifically, the way we deal with prison records is that if you can prove the death of an individual with, a death certificate or an obituary, then those records are released. Or if the records are over a certain period of time, like I believe it's like 100-year span, then they're released as well. So I think those are potential pathways forward for access, I think. And I completely agree with you about, it becomes very challenging for families because Alex is completely on the money that usually these folks are not, necessarily researching a parent, but might be researching, someone who has a different tie to them. So those are some thoughts I have based on my interactions, and also just to make things clear for everyone on the commission. I've been with my supervisor, Caitlin Ramos, have been documenting when people ask for access to state institution records. We've had 60 requests since we started doing this in September. And I think that's actually a higher figure than that because I think we get phone questions about it as well that are not documented on this spreadsheet. So of those, we were able to successfully close the loop on about 10 of them, which, usually in our our reference work, it would be all of them, ideally. So that's kind of where we're at. Often what happens with these is we send them on to the agencies and then, we don't hear from the patron again, unfortunately, because I think a lot of people get stuck in that court process. So that's kind of what we're looking at in archives, just to kind of put it into more of a numerical figure to kind of get a sense of, how many people are asking about these records, what's going on with these records, in terms of access to them. I also think often the folks are families. I would say majority are families, but many are also researchers, usually doing history of disability research or medical history research, which is also really important as well.
Also a piece of context about the privacy protection related to seeking mental health treatment in Massachusetts. The intention of that law was to enable people to seek treatment without fear that their family members will be able to find out about that treatment and the nature of it even shortly after their passing. And so it is a protection meant to allow people to feel more free seeking out mental health services. I'm not going to opine on the rest of it, but I wanted to make sure everybody had that piece of history as well.
Okay, it's 4:03. We would like to take a 5-minute break before we move on to the next section. All right, so we'll see everyone back in about 5 minutes. Okay, wrapping up our 5-minute break and returning. So thank you, everyone, and we're going to continue our discussion. And Jen is going to talk about burial and burial locations.
Thank you, Kate. This is Jen from Cedar. And we're going to talk about some of the opportunities that we saw during our research, and would like to share those with you. Next slide, please. The first area of opportunity that we wanted to talk about was Chapter 113. Chapter 113 of the Mass General Law is the law that allows the state institutions in Massachusetts to send the bodies of people who died in the institution to one of the medical schools for study if their family doesn't claim their body. This law has been around since, different versions have been around since the 1850s, and Chapter 113, I believe, was enacted in the 1920s. So the way the law works is that medical schools can request bodies from the different public institutions like Tewksbury Hospital or Taunton, but not from anything that's considered one of the state-run veterans homes. And the law also states that the body can't be sent if the person themselves asked to be buried or wanted their body to be sent back to their families or friends. What we learned during interviews with the staff at the different departments, anatomical departments at the medical schools, is that this practice is really not common. Medical schools have stopped using Chapter 113 to obtain bodies for medical science. And they've created things like anatomical gifts programs. So they no longer need this resource. So the special commission could consider recommending that the legislature repeals Chapter 113. That would be one area of opportunity. The next one is in regards to unmarked graves. So we've learned over the past year that unmarked burial sites or graves, especially in old cemeteries that are linked to the state institutions, are sometimes hard to find and hard to protect. It could have been that the grave was marked with a temporary marker, or it could have been that the grave was not marked at all. And as the institutions age, markers disappear or they've been moved. And this often happens when a cemetery is near an area that's being developed. And that really, unmarked graves increases the chance that they're going to miss, that they're kind of walking right over a burial site. So we know from our research that there's documented there's a strong possibility that there's unmarked graves. So we know about Northampton State Hospital. We learned over the summer that there's some concern or a possibility of unmarked graves around Lake Chauncey in Westboro at the site of the former state hospital and the Reform School for Boys. We know through news reports that Foxborough State Hospital, an unmarked grave was found just adjacent to the cemetery. And we know at the Pines, adjacent to Tewksbury State Hospital, it's a rather large cemetery with over 8,500 people buried there. And the markers are in bad shape. So it's very difficult to tell exactly where the graves are at that cemetery. Next slide, please. So some of the things that the Special Commission could consider to address the problem of finding and protecting unmarked graves, there are two things that we were thinking about. One would be to recommend creating educational materials that could be used with local officials in towns and cities, shared with urban planners on how to handle a situation if an unmarked grave is identified or potentially identified. These educational materials might include information about the history of state institutional cemeteries, what some of the legal or ethical issues would be around disturbing or developing land near these sites, and the steps that should be taken if an unmarked grave is found. So that would be one possible recommendation or an area of opportunity. The second is the State Commission might recommend additional research to find potential unmarked graves. So that would include asking for funding from the government or different grant organizations to assist with the research. And you could also look at the historical records around burials and maps to identify potential location of graves. This would also include a field survey using methods like ground penetrating radar to help locate the graves. So that's the second opportunity that we saw. Next slide, please. Okay. Cemetery preservation and restoration is a big area that, is a place where you could find a number of recommendations to really help further study or support cemetery restorations. We know that a number of the institutions, the cemeteries associated with the institutions need some restoration work. And others really need to have some kind of evaluation to figure out what's needed in each cemetery. So the evaluation might include, a survey of the grave markers and, the structures around the cemetery, like stone walls, to kind of look at what condition they're in. And that would help determine what type of restoration or repair work is needed and how much that could potentially cost. Another potential area of opportunity would be to create a accurate inventory of those buried at the site. And that would be done in conjunction with reviewing historical records. And then finally, evaluating the area around the cemetery to look at things and address things like erosion or overgrowth or debris buildup on the cemetery itself. And to put a plan in place to make sure that the cemetery remains protected and maintained over the long term. So an example that we found was in relation to the Metfern Cemetery, where back in 2019, Community Preservation Act funding was approved, and that was close to about $80,000 allocated for the restoration of the Metfern Cemetery. And the work was going to include fixing the cemetery monuments or the headstones, repairing stone walls, creating the inventory of the people that are buried there, and basically cleaning up the cemetery site and putting up accurate historical signs. Unfortunately, since the funds were never used, the funds were returned to the Community Preservation Act account. But this is an example of what could be done for the other cemeteries that may need additional restoration work. Next slide, please. So this is a slide that we know that there needs to be something done for those burial sites, and we've listed them out. So one would be the Potter's Field at Mount Hope Cemetery, where patients from Boston State Hospital were buried. For Bridgewater State Hospital, there are 2 cemeteries associated with that facility. One is outside of the prison complex on Connaught Street, and it's known as the State Farm Cemetery. And then within the prison complex is the Morgue Cemetery. Foxborough State Hospital has 2 locations. There are 2 cemeteries adjacent to each other called the State Hospital Cemetery. And then there's a Potter's Field at Rock Hill Cemetery in Foxborough, where patients were also buried prior to the Great Depression. We just mentioned Metfern Cemetery, which is the burial site for both Metropolitan State Hospital and Fernald. Northampton State Hospital has had some significant assessments done. That they may not require additional assessments, but that would be a location where there could be some work done as far as restoration or preservation. Tewksbury Hospital, the Pines, as well as the Livingston Street Cemetery, which is also called locally the No Name Cemetery. And then finally, the State Hospital for Worcester at Hillside East Cemetery. Next slide, please. We came up with some other cemeteries where we feel like it would be worth the time to evaluate the cemetery for restoration and preservation. So that would be the Gardner State Hospital, which is now part of the prison system in Gardner. Hillcrest Cemetery in Grafton. The cemetery in Belmont, it's called Belmont Cemetery, and Mount Feake Cemetery, which are other town cemeteries where patients from Met State and Fernald were buried. Taunton State, there's a very large, very old Potter's Field where the patients were buried. There is a town cemetery in Templeton called Pine Grove, where some former residents of Templeton Developmental Center are buried. Pine Hill Cemetery in Tewksbury is where bodies donated to science would be buried. And we actually found the names of about 85 people from Bridgewater State Hospital that were sent to one of the medical schools in the late 30s and 40s. And then finally, Hope Cemetery, where in Worcester, where patients from Worcester State Hospital were also buried prior to the influenza outbreak in 1918. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so the next area of opportunity would be to identify the people. Many state hospital cemeteries don't have the names of the people buried there available. So we would recommend that the special commission consider making or asking to have those lists of the people buried in the cemeteries where there's only numbers used, to make those lists public so that their identities can be listed. And we know right now that these cemeteries are the cemeteries where patients' graves are unmarked or only marked with a number, and the names are not currently available. So that would be Boston State, Bridgewater State, Foxborough, Gardner, Met State, Northampton, Taunton, Tewksbury, Worcester State, and Fernald. So making people's names available would be that recommendation. Next slide, please. Okay, the next opportunity is installing signs. So we know that many of the state hospital cemeteries really don't have proper signage, and it's hard. It makes it hard for people to recognize that that it's a cemetery, or actually even kind of encourage the community to care about the cemetery. So an a solution that the commission could recommend is to put appropriate signage up in these institutional cemeteries. You know, for example, the signs could explain the history of the hospital, how the cemetery connects to the hospital, and is a memorial to the people that are buried there. And adding signage or memorials can really help protect the site because it shows people that it's an important place. Next slide, please. So we know that these cemeteries on the slide here don't have, if they have signage, it's small or it's insufficient signage. So again, the Mount Hope Cemetery in Boston, the Bridgewater State Hospital cemeteries, the Foxborough State Hospital Cemetery at Rock Hill Cemetery, Grafton State, Metfern, Northampton, Taunton, Tewksbury State, and Worcester State Hospital. Thank you. The next area is the talking about the conditions at the Pines in Tewksbury, which we talked about a little bit in earlier commission meetings. So the Pines is a very large cemetery. It's historically significant, and it is currently being used for passive recreational activities like walking and hiking. The trails cut through the cemetery itself. With the hiking trails going through the cemetery, that could potentially disturb the grave sites. And really it can disrupt the solemn space of that cemetery. Visitors might accidentally damage grave markers while they're on the trails. You know, some of the markers have sunk into the ground or they've totally deteriorated, and it makes it very difficult to read the markings or identify the graves. And, you know, visitors are at risk of tripping and falling, really, as they walk through the cemetery. Currently, the cemetery is maintained by local volunteers. So consistent care and maintenance is really hard because it's a very large cemetery, really through a pine bank. So there's really not a sustainable way to address the conditions at the Pines. Next slide, please. If the commission so choose to, some recommendations could be about how to improve and protect the Pine Cemetery. And some of those ideas could be recommending that hiking trails are rerouted to avoid going directly through the cemetery. If those are rerouted, that would help to protect the integrity of the grave sites. They could also make sure that there are designated paths that are put in the, that the designated paths are clearly marked, my apologies, to make sure people can stay within the accessible areas. The commission might recommend that the grave markers are repaired and stabilized, you know, leveling sunken markers or restoring inscriptions, painting the medallions that are used to mark the graves. And again, you know, signage, they could include signs around, you know, potential hazards of the uneven ground or the crumbling markers, but also educational signs to teach people about the history of the cemetery, the importance of the site, and really what is respectful behavior within a cemetery while they're visiting. Next slide, please. And the final section of recommendations that we came up with is in relation to the Glavin Center, which has been closed, but there's currently apparently a pathway to possibly move graves at the Glavin Center. So the background on that is Shrewsbury had asked for help from the Central Mass Regional Planning Commission to look into zoning and development options for the old Glavin Center site. And this was back in May 2024. And the Planning Commission issued a report and identified a number of possible development ideas for the site, but had a statement in relation to the Hillside West Cemetery that says, and I have it right on the slide, that the existing cemeteries associated with the Glavin Center are presumed to be designated for protection in perpetuity. That means forever. However, the relocation of these burial grounds may be an option, which would allow for additional residential development opportunities or recreational fields. So we wanted to, kind of highlight that, but, if this idea is considered, I think we would need to do a bit more research to better understand kind of the history behind it. But that was the final recommendation we have for burial and burial locations. So again, we wanted to pause here and hear from members of the commission. If you have questions or comments or anything that you'd like to discuss. I see Lori has her hand up.
Yes, hi. Astronomical and actually, for me personally, very overwhelming. I don't mean with the volume of recommendations. I mean with all that is involved. I'm actually speechless on this last bullet. When they gave that recommendation, and that last part says that the burial grounds may be an option, relocating the burial grounds may be an option, which would allow for additional recreational development opportunity in recreational fields. Who makes that decision? Is it the local zoning board? Like who gets to decide that?
That's a good question.
It's a really good question, and I think you have an opportunity to influence that. We were a little bit surprised to see the recommendation in that document, given the age of the cemetery and the challenge, like how hard that would be to do and to do well. And that it might be a decision that would benefit from some broader input, including, from stakeholders of people who lived there or their family members. So I think you're raising the right question. It's not clear to us how that would come about necessarily. I believe, and Jen, correct me if I'm wrong, DCAM is overseeing that site, or is it Shrewsbury now?
It's Shrewsbury now. Yeah, I don't believe DCAM has ownership of that property currently.
Thank you. So my understanding of the process is that Shrewsbury would have to entertain bids to use the property, and as part of those plans, their boards and other things would have to approve whatever that developer was proposing. I don't know. I'm ignorant about whether there's anybody with disabilities or from the family members on any of those boards. So there could be an opportunity to make a recommendation that there needs to be some additional input, for example, which I think the town of Shrewsbury would have to consider in meeting.
I think there's a way to request to the city of Shrewsbury, should this scenario ever come up for discussion at at a city hall meeting or even a subcommittee meeting. I'll just speak for myself. I, Laurie Medeiros, request an opportunity to be present and give input to any such recommendation of moving the cemeteries, because if you can get out to an open meeting law, then it doesn't necessarily have to just be mostly influenced by descendants or relatives. It could be influenced by you and I and Alex and the people on this call, as well. And I think to be able to say that we're from this commission, I think so, really holds a lot of weight. And going to a city meeting and opining what we feel would be in the best interest of those deceased.
Thanks, Lori. Alex?
I have a couple of questions, but maybe just to stay on this point for just a second, Lori. I mean, are you suggesting that we should weigh in or that we should take this up at, I wouldn't want to, if you're suggesting that we do weigh in and send them a letter or something, I would just want to know more, I guess, before our next meeting. And I think we've weighed in on other things, so we could certainly take a vote on it and write a letter. It's a good, you're making a good point. I just, yeah, we've certainly done it, I guess.
I don't know that I have a actual recommendation per se, but when we kind of give feedback or ask questions about the last couple of slides, that would just be my heartbeat, feedback. My heart starts to beat. I go, oh my God, what about this? That's all.
Okay. I am curious about, like, in your experience, Emily and Jen and Christine, and looking at all this, like at the state level, I understand from the records portion that the burial records, it sounds like, is more of an archives, DMH, DDS sort of thing. But when it comes to the bodies of deceased people, like, is there a default state agency that, like, if we're going to make recommendations that kind of everybody turns to when they think, oh, it's a burial, we go to this group of people? That I just don't know where we're supposed to point with some of this. And I don't know if you have a good sense on that.
I think this would largely come through the local boards of health, which are influenced by the State Board of Health and the medical examiner's office, and there are laws on the handling of burials and also what to do, if there is an unmarked grave discovered, that sort of thing. So there are procedures there. I think there might be an opportunity to say more, though, because my understanding from working with some of the state town boards is that their knowledge level about this history and what to do in some of these more rare situations may vary. And so there is an opportunity for the commission to try to bring out some more consistent information or make a recommendation to an existing group that they do that, so that these practices are more consistent, and that there's also the maintenance end of these locations.
That's very helpful. Thank you. And just one other question. I'm very disturbed by the Bridgewater State remains stuff that you've mentioned. Across the board, it sounds like, but I just want to get an explicit sense from you. Are you saying that there is at least it's reasonable to assume that there are unmarked graves at some of these burial locations that deserve further inquiry? Is that a fair take on? It's just hard for me to calibrate what the sense is given the scope of everything you've looked at. It's a lot of buried people, and I think the Pines was thousands or something, right? So just scope would help, I guess. If you have a sense, you may not. It's totally fair.
I think there's a range. So there are confirmed cases, right, where unmarked graves were found. And then there is information which we were not able to independently verify that there may be unmarked graves on the grounds. This is where I think there is more work to be done with the state archivist and exploring the historic evidence and the site. There's actually a whole series of steps they have on how you would work through this. And I think that there's more work to be done to figure out which ones have kind of enough evidence that they're worth pursuing, which ones might be more based in rumor, and how far you want to go with that. that may entail needing some sort of body like a commission, second wave of the commission to govern and manage. Because the work will take multiple phases, there would need to be funding of some sort, for example, to fund the ground penetrating radar, or even potentially some of the time involved in that research. And so I think you'd need to gather information to kind of make a feasibility assessment, like should we do this or should we not do this? We do get into some more of that detail in the report, but it's an area that is a really large area to dig into, and we did not have the time or resources to kind of go more deeply than we did in the report.
Really, really helpful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
James?
Yes, I just had a question going back to the Glavin Center. The statement from the Central Mass Regional Commission is attributed to May of 2014. Is that correct?
Yes.
So do we know kind of the status of that was 10 years ago? Do we know kind of whether there's ongoing consideration, whether that issue has essentially been put to bed?
I have reached out to the CMRPC and haven't heard back from anybody.
We also, just for equality and access to information, I do want to just mention there was a comment at the start of the burial discussion in the comment section, recommending a rescinding of chapter 113 by Lori. I don't know, or if you want to say anything more, but I just want to make sure everybody was able to access that information.
Sorry, I was toggling between some screens of reading some of the material that was sent out, just rescanning it for something. So toggling back to find the unmute button took me a second. Anyway, so yeah, that remark was just a single put it out there remark, basically saying, why are we doing this? And yeah, let's rescind that. That's really an excellent idea. Because we were going to move on to the next slide and the next slide and the next slide. So I don't know where a formal recommendation would be, or if it is ever going to make it into a report. And I'm not saying it has to, but I felt like I had to say my amen when you mentioned that one of the recommendations could be that since it's really not being used anymore, it could be an idea that we close that chapter altogether.
Thanks, Lori. Do others have any comments or questions? I know we talked about a lot, the burials. One opportunity, we have a little bit of time left. You could consider, if you would like, opening it up to any, broader comments. I know we walked through lots of sections, or I'll look to you if you want to see if there's a motion to close the meeting. I think we're towards the end.
Okay.
We did have one piece that you wanted to think about, which was how to structure the next set of meetings. Perhaps the remaining time would be helpful for that set of suggestions.
Absolutely. This is Kate, and I think that it would be great to consider, now that we have seen how the report is split up and we've heard about each of those sections, that we might be able to vote on how we would like to move forward to cover these sections for our recommendations. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say first, before we adjourn, do we have a motion to continue to discuss the Cedar report in those 3 sections as a large group to then bring the information into the smaller report review group?
I make a recommendation that we do that. Discuss the 3 sections and then have that go back to the smaller groups that will tuss it out more succinctly and efficiently.
Okay, so Lori,
That's a lousy recommendation. I'm sorry. I didn't know how to word that.
That's okay. So Lori's making the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. All right. Christine, do you mind reading the names?
Sure, not a problem. Okay, this is Christine from Cedar, and I'll do the roll call. Alex Green,
Yes.
Andrew Leverell,
Yes.
Anne Fract, Bill Henning,
Yes.
Brenda Rankin, Elise Aaron, Evelyn Mateo,
Yes.
James Cooney,
Yes.
Kate Benson,
Yes.
Lori Medeiros,
Yes.
Mary Mahone Macaulay,
Mary's
Matt-
shaking her head affirmatively.
Thank you, Jen. Matt Millett, I don't believe he's here. Reggie Clark,
Yeah, I recommend. I want more than that. I want to talk about. You should be talking about how expensive it is for somebody who's being buried. How expensive these cemeteries are, because it costs a lot of money. You didn't even bring that up.
thank you, Reggie. Samuel Edwards, Sister Linda Bessam, I don't believe is here, and Vesper Moore.
Yes.
Thank you.
Excellent. So we'll move forward with discussing each of the sections as a whole group and then distilling the language in the smaller report review group, which again, as a reminder, Alex said is not a closed group. And we value the input of anyone who wants to help us put that into the commission's words. So now we get to vote again to adjourn the meeting. We're looking forward to seeing everyone at the next full commission meeting in February. Cedar will be following up with the specific meeting information if that works for everyone. If there are any questions before then, feel free to reach out to the SCSI email. Do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Kate, this is
Oh,
my
sorry.
We have a raised hand with Alex.
Thank you. I'm glad you saw that because I did not. Go ahead, Alex.
Hey, sorry to delay things. One thing, and it could wait till the next meeting. I'll defer. But the report right now is a draft that is for, hold on, not for distribution. I think we have to vote if we want to make it a public document. I mean, it is a public document. It's already, but we would have to take a vote on that to kind of release it out of the commission. I don't know if you want to do that or not. I don't know if we should wait on a vote till the next meeting or just do it now. But I did want to just raise that because it had come up in the organizing meeting for the agenda.
Yeah, and it was mentioned earlier today as well that we would have to vote as to whether or not we want to post the Cedar report as it stands on the commission website. We do have 10 minutes left, so Alex, we could very well vote on that now.
I actually have a question regarding that.
Yeah.
So given all of the feedback that was given here, I'm wondering if CEDA has any thoughts of, oh, let me go back and adjust that. Somebody had mentioned, ensuring that Olmsted got in there. So before it gets released, does CETA maybe have an idea of, after hearing everything here, well, maybe let's not vote today. Let me go back and tweak a few things that I heard about today.
Thank you, Lori. I appreciate that. Bill, was that where you were going to jump in?
Yeah, I think that it's essential we release this, but I think it should have a good, healthy discussion by the commission so everyone embraces it rather than trying to get an all in favor of it now, just so that we're behind what we're doing. I think it's significant and critical to release, but maybe somebody doesn't. We need to hear that.
Yeah. I think absolutely maybe tabling the discussion, Alex, until we have more time to really decide how and when we want to share all of this information. Emily, you had something?
Just to note that one of the things you could make a motion to do at some point is to release it with minor modifications, which would be taking all of the feedback from you all, updating the version that would be ready for posting with your feedback. And so we could have, for example, a window of feedback, make the minor modifications, and then it's that version that you could release. So it would be able to get, Bill and Lori's and everybody else's comments in there to make sure that you're comfortable with what is released.
Okay. So does that make sense to everyone? Emily is suggesting that we can make a motion now to say that we will release the report with the understanding that minor changes will be made as we give feedback as a commission. And I see a lot of people nodding yes, that makes sense. Do I have a motion to release the CETA report with the understanding that there will be changes made first?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Sorry, Andrew Leverell.
Thank you, Andrew. Do we have a second?
I'll second it. Anne Pratt.
Thanks, Anne. And Christine, do you mind doing the roll call?
Not a problem, Kate. Thank you. This is Christine from Cedar, and I'll be doing the roll call. I'll start with Alex Green.
Yes.
Thank you. Andrew Leverell.
Yes.
Anne Fract.
Anne said yes, but her audio doesn't seem to be working.
Okay, thank you, Kate. Bill Henning.
Yes.
Brenda Rankin. Elise Aaron. Evelyn Mateo.
Yes.
James Cooney.
Yes.
Kate Benson.
Yes.
Lori Medeiros.
Yes.
Mary Mahone Macaulay. Anyone can. All right. I see her.
She's saying no.
No. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Matt Millett, I don't believe is here. Reggie Clark. Samuel Edwards.
No, not because I think it shouldn't be released, but just because I think we need more time to discuss.
Okay. Thank you. Sister Linda Bessam, I don't believe is here, and Vesper Moore.
Yes.
Thank you.
Christine, I think Reggie was trying to indicate his vote. If we could circle back, please.
Absolutely. Reggie Clark.
Reggie, I see you've unmuted, but we aren't able to hear you.
Yes. Can you
Yes,
hear me
okay.
now?
Thank you.
Thank you, Reggie. I think that's it.
Okay, excellent. Are there any other questions, concerns, things that we didn't cover? Lori, go ahead.
No questions.
Okay.
But I just have a quick comment. In organizing the next 3 meetings around those topics that would be in the final report, I'm wondering if some of the topics that we might imagine could go kind of fast, go first. And then if we wrap up early in the first meeting, maybe we can begin the second topic in the first meeting. And then by the time we get to the second meeting, if we're able to wrap that up early, we can begin the third. And I would recommend the third to be what we do about the cemeteries, because I feel like that's the largest conversation around feedback. And Reggie slid it in there, but I was thinking about it the whole time. I'm sure that whatever the commission recommends about the cemeteries and moving them and all of those things that got discussed last is going to have a significant price tag to it. So I feel like that one topic could probably use a little extra time if we could capture it from some of the previous meetings. So the heaviest to go last, hopefully, and the earlier ones wrap up sooner so we can begin the next and then begin the next, giving that last one some extra time.
Yeah, I think that's a very sound idea, Lori, and I think that's something, Jen and Emily, correct me if I'm wrong, but that we would discuss as we're setting the agendas for those three meetings. But I think that you make an exceptional point with breaking up the amount of time, because that burials conversation is going to be a pretty lengthy conversation just because there's so many more points that we need to mull over. So thank you very much for bringing that up, Lori. Are there any other questions, concerns, things we didn't cover? And of course, remember to reach out to the email if you have questions in the meantime. Okay, if no one has anything else, do I have a motion to adjourn for today?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Yo, everybody's in a hurry for that one. And did I hear a second sneak in there? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, Samuel seconds that one. And Christine.
Yes, I will do the roll call. Thank you. This is Christine from Cedar. All right, we'll start with Alex Green,
Yes, indeed.
Andrew Leverell,
Yes.
Anne Fract. All right. Bill Henning,
Yes.
Brenda Rankin, and Elisa Aaron, I don't believe are on. Evelyn Mateo,
Yes.
James Cooney,
Yes.
Kate Benson,
Yes.
Lori Medeiros,
Yes.
Mary Mahone Macaulay.
She is nodding her assent.
Thank you. Matt Millette, Reggie Clark.
Yes, but I wanted to say to tell Kate that I miss her and thank her for today's meeting. And I want to let you know, guys, know that I'm still pushing for people to have the rights to their records. I think they still should have the rights, because if we got to go through all this other mess and we don't take care of the mess that the state made, then we're going to be in more trouble.
Absolutely. Thank
need
you,
to take care
Reggie.
of that.
I'm glad you could join us tonight.
Kate, I miss you, Kate.
I miss you too, Reggie. I'm glad you were here tonight.
Thank you. Samuel Edwards.
Yes.
Awesome. And since Sister Linda is not here, and Vesper Moore.
Yes.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next month at the next meeting.
Yeah.